Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fergal Donnelly. I am from the European Commission, from the Directorate General for Research and Innovation, and in particular, the department that deals with industrial technologies for health and human services. So, Dr. Hunziger, fellow scientists, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to accept your invitation to this conference, and I'm particularly delighted to be asked to chair this session. As everybody perhaps knows, we meet in an hour of change and challenge, in a decade of hope and fear, in an age of knowledge and of ignorance. In his recent book called The Inevitable, the author Kevin Kelly says that even though our knowledge is expanding exponentially, our questions are expanding exponentially even faster. We are now at the cusp of a new industrial revolution, and this will fundamentally change the way in which we live and work. And the impact of new industrial technologies, not just nanomedicines, but industrial technologies in general, will come from the fact that the user is put at the center. The consumer is empowered, and smaller players are introduced to the market and create new markets. Since 2007, I'd just like to give you a brief overview of our activities in the area of nanomedicines leading to personalized medicines. The European Union has committed over 1 billion euros of health research funding, which underpins the development of personalized medicines and the nanotechnology that drives it, both from the 7th Framework Programme and from Horizon 2020. It has provided many different medical solutions for therapeutics and for diagnostics, and in many cases for combinations of same. And the idea is to address new products to address unmet medical needs, and such as cancer and other diseases. And many of these products, such as new imaging agents or smart materials, will be prerequisites for the implementation of personalized medicines. So therefore, our efforts in nanomedicines and regulation that go with it have been under review. With expertise from member states who will participate to our program, we have examined where we are strong and where we are not, where we may succeed and where we may not. It is now time for us to take longer strides, time to keep Europe's champions at the top and to prepare new ground so that these technologies and these innovators and businesses can mature and grow and can access the markets they need in order to flourish. So we need investment not just in research and in innovation, but also the right regulatory framework conditions that favor innovation. Any regulatory system for products for health and human services must of course protect the public, but at the same time ensure that the latest products and interventions reach the healthcare market in as timely a manner as possible. But despite the significant increases in research and innovation expenditure, there has not been a concomitant surge in the output at the end of the research and innovation pipeline, giving new innovative products for patients. It's due to a multitude of factors: an escalation in costs, regulatory hurdles, and not to mention the effects of the economic crisis, which are still felt in many parts of the Union since 2010. Yet at the same time, the development not just of new drugs but healthcare interventions as a whole is much more complex than ever imagined, not only from a scientific point of view but also from other perspectives: business, legal, ethical, regulatory, to name but a few. And the rapid evolution and convergence of these sciences, which produces new products, which is anticipated in the Commission's ESTER initiative, require the addition and adaptation of involved stakeholders to this activity. The ESTER initiative is intended to bring the stakeholders together from the medical devices field, from the nanomedicines field, from biomaterials, from pharmaceuticals, and to bring together into a technology platform type instrument to develop cost-effective and innovative healthcare solutions for European patients and for patients as a whole. And this is due, the reason for the complexity is due to the need, both commercial and clinical, to modify and extend the uses of sometimes widely differing products into one functioning entity, the therapeutic and the diagnostic being an example. There is the need for new data, which is complex and interlinked, accompanied by high public expectations, and the price of failure can be very large. An additional complexity, of course, is that science by nature is in continuous evolution, and this comprises and throws up inherent uncertainties of its own. So in order to ensure the protection of the public while at the same time facilitating the arrival of innovative products to the healthcare market, then a solid scientific and technical foundation that facilitates their accessibility to this market is needed in the form of regulatory science. And this brings together the different scientific disciplines and their scientific thinking so that regulations will evolve that are most adapted and best and closest to patient needs. A new initiative, therefore, is needed for this, and it has to be said that this challenge is one for which, for example, European regulators have responded to with admirable courage. An example is the Innovation Task Force from the European Medicines Agency, which we'll be hearing a little bit more about later. And this is a multidisciplinary group that includes scientific, regulatory, and legal competences to give a forum for early dialogue with applicants, and demonstrates the commitments of regulators to facilitate that the companies and the potential marketing authorization applicants have their research on the right track. It brings together disciplines such as nanomedicines, pharmacogenomics, synthetic biology, biomaterials modeling and stimulation, and as well as the use of portable electronic devices to monitor healthcare. Another example of this initiative is the PRIME initiative, launched by the Medicines Agency, to enhance support for the development of medicines that target an unmet medical need, or where there might not otherwise be a commercial interest in developing products. And this is a voluntary scheme which is based on enhanced interaction and early dialogue with the developers of promising medicines and healthcare interventions, so as to optimize their plans, accelerate the review so that they get to market as soon as possible. And in the final analysis, it reflects that only one medicine is going to reach one patient, but we will all have to work together to get it there. Another procedure which is useful, which is proved to be successful, is the data certification for advanced therapy medicinal products, which represents the cutting edge of the gene therapy, stem cell therapy, and genetic engineering revolution, which is still ongoing. And it's an opportunity particularly for the SME sector to get an assessment of the data they have generated and check that their development programs are on the right track. And the heads of Medicines Agency Medicines Regulatory Network outlines is a gathering of the heads of medicines agencies so that joint key priorities and a high-level roadmap will be put together so as to define the priorities for healthcare needs for the future. And a training network is now in the planning stage for training in innovation, combining healthcare as well as business skills, which is now ongoing. I am therefore very delighted to welcome speakers from all parts of the world to participate in this discussion, which I think is one of the most important ones of this conference. Because human disease knows no borders of its own. Its risks are a hazard to us all. And at the same time, regulations will continue to need to converge worldwide so as to confront the challenge that is a worldwide one in nature, and to promote knowledge and understanding on this basis. And our efforts cannot succeed unless we develop policies that encourage this innovation. The European Union's Commissioner for Research, Commissioner Moedas, has summarized the Commission's approach, of which this dialogue is an integral part, through research and innovation through the concept of the 3 O's, which is open innovation, open science, and open to the world. There is a need to improve the framework conditions for the researchers and for the innovators and investors and entrepreneurs alike. And that is why this dialogue here today is so important. We need to ensure a smooth operation into a more integrated European innovation ecosystem and framework that is suitable for the digital age and for the digital single market. And therefore, we warmly welcome this discussion here today as part of a new openness which represents a commitment to Europe, but also our fundamental belief that innovation is only the real source of sustainable prosperity for us all. I would like to introduce, therefore, the first speaker, who is